occasion. The chief celebrant, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iwanyanwahe Jagamba, and his elegant wife, our guest speaker, the one and only former President General of Ohanese and Igbo, Chief John Nea Wodo Jr. The Royal Highness, the Eze Imo, Eze Dr. Isi Okeke, and all our royal fathers. Our elder statesman, Chief Dr. Edwin K. Clark, also represented here by Honorable Ken Robinson. There are too many distinguished Nigerians here gathered to be acknowledged and recognized. But no men are Igbo, because of why we are gathered. There is a way to say welcome before we proceed with details. And so, may I humbly invite the chairman of the organizing committee, Okpato Zuaha, to please step forward. No men are Igbo, Iji Nabata Nde Aikporokuta. Prince Lemi Akakem.
Ndewonu. Aoji Abiala, Nde Imo State correspondent chapter of NUJ. Represent Elaine Oji. Today is your day. Oji Uhe Menala. And Oji Biaruo, Goshi Biaru Ubua, His Excellency Nonga, our former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, no here. Ahe Jagamba, no here. All the proper that come up, Oji, Pegaya Nanye. Ahe Jagamba ndị Igbo ya na were ya nye the deputy governor who will present the kola ga-enye ọjị nye ya onye isi anyị nye ọbịa ya. Ahe Jagamba ndị Igbo, Ahe Jagamba ndị Igbo. Before you raise Imo, ya ri aka agọla ya agmepara ya bega the deputy governor onye mara ya mara kpeje nye governor Oji, onye isi anyị. Ngwa, Oji erula gị aka.
Unu abịala anyị anabatala Oji, anatala Oji eji asị anyị bịara maka omume nke a anyị na-eme. Ameburu Oji bunye onye isi anyị bụ gọvanọ anyị ka o were nye onye isi oche na occasion anyị. Your Excellency the Governor.
Karigo, karigo, amoyoko karigo. Karigo, karigo.
Ndị Igbo keleni, Igbo keleni, keleni, kelezonu.
Awa ibu nwanne iche, awa ibu nwanne iche. I nwere ihe na-eji ama ndị kara aka. Ịkara aka.
Obodo ozu anyị butela Oji. Oji dị convert, bịa ka atọpe ya. Atọla nke akpa ya aka, dị tin ya agara aka tụrụ. The chairman of the occasion, our own brother and former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
I will use the former President General of Ohanes Ndibu and the Secretary General of Ohanes Ndibu as a point of contact to present this scholar to all the Igbo nationals in this hall. Our brothers from other parts of the country, Ndarewa, Ndafenifun. Unfortunately, yes, middle belt, Pandev. Unfortunately, the only language this school understands is the one I spoke before. So we are using this cola to welcome all of us to this hall for this very important occasion, the birthday of one of our best and brightest, Chief Emmanuel Jagamba. Jagamba Dodrigo Ngiloya Begi. Ribe Hagono Ganaya. As a demo. I am one of those. Never one of those. One of those. There's a no those. I want you guys to about this post. Going. They won't know. Hold on. I'm here formally and officially. Bujeze Doji to the chairman of the occasion. They won't know. Chairman.
Thank you so much. This is a very special occasion, and I don't want to do any error. I'm nominating Her Majesty, my good friend.
Igbo Mamanu. Igbo Gwenu. Mono. What did I have to eh? Oje nwere ụkwụ na aka ije ọ ga-aga to chairman ndị eze n'Imo steeti. Eze Okeke. Bulgaria.
Asị na ọtụtụ ikpe anaghị anọ n'osuji akwụ ole esi m onye wudoro ekwe ekweta. Ekelela m His Excellency na ndị niile soro ya bata. Kelee mmadụ niile n'ebe a. Eze Ọkairiro, ama m na ihu n'ọjị, anyị ga-agbapụ ya ọsọ. Ekelela m ndị eze niile. Unu ahụ n'ọjị, His Excellency eburu ụzọ mechaa ya, asị na tụ isi opete eremere ewe egwu. Obi, ihu anụ ka esiri gba onye isi egbe hụ ka o si ze mbọ. Anyị sị ka Chineke kekere ụwa chọọ ya mma. Bịa tụkwasị anyị aka n'ọjị a. Bịa gọzie ọjị a ka anyị na-ata ya ka anyị si nweta ndụ ogologo, nweta eji alọta, nweta ọganiru, nweta ịhụnanya. Bịa gọziere anyị gọvanọ anyị. Gọziere anyị onye anyị kwuru n'odo ebe a taa. Na ndị niile bịakwutere ya. Na mmadụ niile bịara ebe a. Ka anyị si ọjị enweta ahụ isi ike na ndụ ogologo. Mee ka Igbo steeti anyị otu ọ dị ka ọ na-adịkwu na-aga n'ihu. Bịa gbara anyị gọvanọ ume. Anyị si Chukwu gọzie ya ka anyị taa ya ka ọ dị mma n'ahụ site n'afọ Nna na Nwa na Mmụọ Nsọ.
You're watching live pictures coming to you from Owerri here, the city capital of Imo State. And as you can see, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is right seated here. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCON, is seated at the high table. Incidentally, he is also the chairman of this important event, which is part of the lecture series put together by the Imo State government in honor of Chief Engineer Dr. E.C. Uwanyamu. He's seated right there in celebration with his wife on his side. And of course, the governor himself, the governor of Imo State, is also seated here with several other dignitaries. What you've been watching was a situation of pleasantry exchanging hand to hand of the presentation of Oji, the traditional method of welcoming guests to an event. Indeed, this is going to herald the event proper, where speeches and eulogies and encomiums will be poured on the man who is being celebrated here. That's talking about Chief Engineer Dr. E.C. Uwanyamu. We'll employ you to sit by your television and watch series of events and talks that are coming up here. We also know that those of you who are from this side of the southeast, you will enjoy what you're going to be seeing today. And so on behalf of the transmission crew here, I am Tony Douglas.
And quickly, let me acknowledge Honorable Prayer Broderick, in the entourage of the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Majesty King A.J. Turner from Bayelsa State. Chief Dikivye Ikura, is there any ban on clapping our hands? Honorable James Tobias, Professor Seifa Brisibe, and many others that came in the entourage of His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Let me quickly allow my colleague to do some quick acknowledgements, and now we proceed. But before I hand over the microphone, I can cite the arrival of a former military governor of Imo State, a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator General Ike Nwachukwu, and his distinguished
Yellow wire, thank God. Okay.
Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we are talking about the Igbo quest for unity, we have here a former deputy governor of Imo State, His Excellency Engineer Ebere Udabo.
Yellow wire, volume.
We have also here Chief Barry Igariwe, former President General of Ndi Ohaneze Ndibo worldwide. Chief Gary Igariwe. Can we put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen? We have also Reverend Bitus Dangiwa, representing the leader of the Northern Elders Forum. And of course, His Excellency, as he has been mentioned, a former military governor of Imo State. I remember the austerity at that time. I remember that His Excellency General Ike Nwachukwu is very much in the building. You're welcome. We have also the Secretary General of Ohaneze Ndibo, and he is representing the President General of Ohaneze Ndibo worldwide. His Excellency Ambassador Professor George Obiozo is being represented here by Ambassador Oke Emuche. We've just been informed also that His Excellency Senator Adolphus Nwabara, former Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is also in the building.
let me quickly say that this event is an international event. If you look around, you will see different colors to show that there is a national identity for this event, there is a continental identity, and there is an international identity. And the best thing to do is for all of us to put our hands together for all ourselves as the program runs on. Without any further waste of time, the best thing to do at this point in time is to invite this man, the entire correspondents in Imo State, found fit and worthy to be the chairman of this event. And you may begin to wonder, why did they consider him the chairman of this event? Not just because he was the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not just because he was the former commander-in-chief, but in the history of Nigeria, considering the way he handed over, he is the only man who, when he chairmans an event, at the end of the event, he will take the man in him away and leave the chair where he met it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, may I quickly invite His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan for his opening welcome.
Good luck and a helele, 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 helele. Your Excellency Ebele Goodluck Jonathan Ogadrgenam. Welcome to Imo State.
Please be seated, please be seated. Thank you all. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Imo State and our Chief Host, thank you so much. His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Imo State, members of the National Assembly, serving and former, are here with us. Very senior citizens, let me not waste too much of the time by going through their names, but at least the MC have all recognized you. Let me especially also remember the Speaker and members of the State Assembly and members of the State Executive Council, the celebrant, our father, Chief Mwanyang and the wife. Thank you for bringing us together here. Our guest speaker, you don't need any introduction. The Secretary General of Aneze Indigo, thank you. And all the leaders of the ethnic nationalities are here that were formally introduced. Our royal fathers, our religious leaders, my brothers and sisters, thank you all. I'm delighted to join Chief Manuel Mwanyang's family, friends, and political associates to celebrate a man I call my father and a patriot. And a patriot on this occasion of his 80th birthday. Chief Mwanyang is worthy of celebration and commendation, not just for attaining the milestone of 80 years, but for his contribution to Nigeria's economy, our social and political development. He's a man of many parts, an engineer, a politician, a businessman, a philanthropist, a father, and a role model, with many achievements and glorious strides in his endeavors. His life can be described as a story woven into plots and chapters with themes containing great lessons to guide present and future generations. As a businessman, exemplifies hard work, determination, and innovation, as he is a meticulous investor who has pioneered great businesses. As an engineer, Chief Mwanyang has an enviable track record of excellence, courage, and determination. He's a man of many victory songs. And every chapter of his life tells a story about the virtues that have defined his greatness and sustained his relevance for 8 decades. On the political turf, Chief is an elder statesman, a bridge builder, who has continued to place the unity and progress of Nigeria above personal and other parochial interests. I am therefore not surprised that the theme of this lecture today reflects on one of the most cherished principles of our celebrant. I have no doubt that our guest speaker, Chief Nyanwodo, an orator, a patriot, and a great leader who led the Ohaneze Ndigbo to a greater height with courage and great zeal, with an in-depth knowledge of Nigeria's political history, will do justice to the topic. The topic, Igbo quest for Nigeria's unity. That's great. The Igbos hold an important place in the history of Nigeria. They have made enormous contributions to the progress of our country, primarily through trade and investment. They are known to be excellent industrialists. They are entrepreneurs, and they are scholars. I remember when we were in school then, if you are good in mathematics, your peer will be calling you Chikobi. They epitomize resilience amid adversity and fortitude in times of despair. These are the virtues we need to emphasize now more than ever, given our nation's challenges. Looking at our political evolution from amalgamation to the independence struggles, the First Republic, military adventurism, and now we are talking about the Fourth Republic, the quest for Nigeria's unity has been a dominant topic in our political history and political discourse. To achieve this, all stakeholders must work in unity of purpose to achieve this dream. In fact, when I received the invitation to be here to chair this occasion, and I looked at the topic, Igbo quest for Nigeria's unity, these are things that agitate my mind. I started thinking about how we've been having this conversation about the unity of Nigeria. And I reflect back at some of the prominent statements made by some of our founding leaders. And I feel that probably this will help us to have a conversation on the Nigerian unity. I just brought four, not to bore you. First, and I quote, not my statement, Nigeria is not a nation. It's a mere geographical expression. There are no Nigerians in the same sense as there are English, Welsh, or French. The word Nigerian is merely a distinctive appellation to distinguish those who live within the boundaries of Nigeria from those who do not. This is accredited to Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the former Prime Minister of the Western region. The second one, and I quote, it is true that we politicians always delight in talking loosely about the unity of Nigeria. 60 years ago, there was no country called Nigeria. What is now Nigeria consisted of several large and small communities, all of which were different in their outlooks and beliefs. The advent of the British and that of Western education has not materially altered the situation, and the many and varied communities have not knit themselves into a composite unit. This is accredited to Sir Amadu Bello, former Premier of Northern Region. The third, and I quote, since 1914, the British government has been trying to make Nigeria into one country. But the Nigerian people themselves are historically different in their backgrounds, in their religious beliefs and customs, and do not show themselves any sign of willingness to unite. The Nigerian unity is only a British intention for the country. This is was said by Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, the former Prime Minister. The fourth and the last, let me not bore you. And I quote, each of our three regions is vastly different in many respects, but each has this in common that despite variety of languages and customs or differences in climate, all form part of one country which has existed as a political and social entity for 50 years. That is why we believe that the political union of Nigeria is destined to be perpetual and indestructible. This is accredited to Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, former president of Nigeria. So if you look at these statements by our different leaders and look at Zeke's position and the statement is made, and if you believe that as at that time, that reflects the Igbo intellectual vision for the unity of Nigeria, then of course, the Igbos stood for the unity of Nigeria. And if at that time, the Igbos stood for the unity of Nigeria, and this time, people are saying different things that are discounted tones, then we as a country should know that we need to review certain things, and certain things should be done differently. As a nation, we have challenges, but we should not be slaves to our challenges. Let us get over the obstacles and move forward. We have to adapt. We must not conform. We cannot conform to some aberrant behavior considered to be politically correct. Let us look at the case of Rwanda, a country that is adapting to their situation. We had a gory experience of genocide. They reconfigured their nation so that in today's Rwanda, tribe is no longer an issue. They all see themselves as one people. I'm not saying Nigeria should do exactly like Rwanda, but there are different ways we will do so that these problems we're having that is dividing us could be reduced. The incoming Nigerian leaders, luckily elections are coming, must take deliberate steps to whittle down the ethnic cleavages pulling us apart and pulling the nation backwards. So my appeal to all Nigerians is to de-emphasize our differences and focus on the issues that bind us as a people. Luckily, we are in an election cycle. So my challenge to the young people, because the youth are more, is to take charge of their future by electing those who believe in our unity and will not promote, believe in our unity and will promote peace and progress, and not those who will erect ethnic walls and religious barriers among our people. We have over-ethnicized our politics in Nigeria to the detriment of our country and our own collective growth. I think we need to reduce this. Collectively, if we work together and accommodate our differences, we can build a nation where everybody will have a sense of belonging and everyone's right will be guaranteed. That is the way we must go in Nigeria, where equality and justice reign. Let me conclude by once again congratulating my father for adding another decade to the biblical 3 scores and 10. I wish you many more years of celebration in good health and prosperity. I thank all of you for coming here to join us and say happy birthday. Thank you all.
Nigeria maka, ezigbo obodo ọma. Nigeria maka, anyị mere ka obodo ọzọ. Nigeria maka, ezigbo obodo ọma. Nigeria maka, anyị mere ka obodo ọzọ. Bịapụtanụ n'igwe, ka anyị dozie obodo ọfụma. Nigeria maka, anyị mere ka obodo ọzọ.
Thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies. That was the voice of Dr. Goodluck Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are all brought here together by the Correspondence Chapel of Imo State. And on behalf of all the correspondents, we want to invite the chairman to say something to all of us. And to do that, the best thing to do is to invite a broadcaster who is also a colleague to invite the chairman properly. Lillian Duru Valentine, can you please take the microphone? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, I'd like to say welcome to each and every one of you, our distinguished guests. Thanks for honoring the invite of course, the Correspondence Chapel of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. I'd like to make welcome our host for today, the chairman, Correspondence Chapel, for his welcome address. Please make welcome Comrade Chris Njoko. Please a round of applause for him. Thank you.
Hello? Your Excellency, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan, former President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, GCFR, GON. Your Excellency, Senator Hope Uzodimma, Executive Governor of Imo State, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all already established protocols duly and most respectively observed. I most humbly and heartily welcome you all to this auspicious and epical occasion to distinctively mark the 80th birthday celebration of a living quintessential legend of our time, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Chukwuemeka Iwanyanwu, aha ejeje mba ndị Igbo, CFR, OFR, MOFR, GCSI, FNLE, FNICE, FNIST, KSC. On behalf of my respected colleagues, I express my profound gratitude to God Almighty for his sustained benevolence, mercy, guidance, protection to us in a world that has been engulfed in unprecedented chain of catastrophe, ranging from economic dislocation, insurgency, banditry, fetid corruption, proliferation of small, light, and nuclear weapons, kidnappings, and ritual killings, among other vices. It is instructive to note that our tasks as members of the fourth estate of the realm and the watchdog of the society, whose duty is to inform, educate, and enlighten the public, is largely challenging. But Chief Iwanyanwu has for long shown ceaseless burning passion for ensuring we have ease of doing our constitutional duties. Interestingly, here in the state, there appears to be a radical departure from this sordid environment. As a prominent, illustrious son of the state, out of sustained empathy, introspection, fatherly care and love, stoutly unquenchable keen their interests, has taken the bull by the horns to continually encourage and motivate journalists in the practice of their noble profession. For us in the correspondent chapel, today's ceremony is therefore simply to say a big thank you. Okay. To say a big thank you. As a successful publisher and business mogul who has mentored many people and has touched the life of many the poor and the downtrodden, we, the members of the correspondent chapel, are at a better position to speak on the immeasurable, inestimable, illimitable, and imponderable contribution of Chief E.C. Iwanyanwu towards the growth and promotion of journalism practiced in the state and the nation at large. I will not end this address without paying special tribute to our Governor, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma, for his relentless efforts to take our state to the next level in development.
Thank you, thank you.
We sincerely appreciate the shining manifestation of his shared prosperity agenda in his 3-hour mantra, especially on road revolution, regular payment of workers' salaries and gratuities.
Thank you. Our
tackling security challenges headlong, among other numerous achievements. Once again, I salute you all for partnering with us today to give honor to whom honor is due, by graciously adding glowing colors to this August event that is happening in September, with your most esteemed present. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, if correspondents don't clap for people when they invite them to events, what of when they invite us? We should be able to clap for them. Fellow correspondents, clap for your chairman at least. Thank you very much. Let me quickly put all of us on notice that this event is being covered live by African Independent Television, AIT, and Channels Television, and so many other networks. And so we are battling with time to make sure that the major ingredients of why we're gathered, we don't lose them. At this point in time, let me quickly invite a man who understands the management of time to come and tell us whom the guest lecturer is. Dr. Ezichi Chukwu, please, former President of Ohanaeze Ndigbo Imo State, to please come to the microphone and then bring on stage the guest lecturer of this great event. Doctor.
Thank you so much, MC. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodimma, Your Excellency, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the celebrant, Chief Doctor Engineer Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, clergy herein, captains of industries, chairman of the planning committee, Prince Lemi Akakem, the royal institution herewith, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I'm highly pleased and exceedingly enraptured for the rare privilege to bring on board a great leader and iconic statesman whom I personally grew under his tutelage for 4 years as a socio-political cultural leader. He is a man who was born with greatness and with tint of hard work. He added gusto to his background. A former minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a former SA to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at 28, a man of transparent honesty, an embodiment of goodness, a character that is worthy of emulation, icon of his contemporaries, and a man who understands the Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to present to you the immediate past President General of Ohanese Ndigbo Worldwide and the coordinator of the Southern and Middle Belt Forum, Chief Barrister John Nnea Nwodo Ikuke.
Nwodo, even one night, every one night, you were in a German baraba.
Mr. Chairman, an extraordinarily gifted Nigerian who reminds me of the famous statements of President Nelson Mandela, who in speaking to the young people of Africa said that the greatest quality a leader must have is humility, because humility endears you to the people that you lead. President Jonathan, I was extremely close to you when you were president. Your humility was disarming. When I visited you in your home, you went out of your way to go to your chest of drinks to get a drink for me and to want to serve me. And we always struggled that the president should not serve me. That humility made you, in spite of the rigorous and questionable procedure in your second election to the position of president, to forget self, forget the propriety or impropriety of the election, and to put our nation forward. I salute you. Your Excellency, the Governor of Imo State, you're a man of many parts. I've tried to study you, but you remain impossible to understand. I salute you for your indefatigability. I salute you for being a tremendous shock absorber. When I read the things that are said about you, and I see you, I wonder whether this man doesn't listen to the adverse things that are said about you. May I, through you, Your Excellency, express my acknowledgement of the important personalities that have been previously recognized here and go into the business of the day. When I was informed of the decision of the Wanyango family and the organizers, the journalists in this state, that I be guest speaker at Chief Wanyango's 80th birthday, I was stunned, bewildered and humbled. Because speaking about a man of such a gargantuan reputation, who has traveled through the political, economic, and social landscape of Nigeria in an unending struggle to achieve a country of his dream, characterized by industry, steadfastness in the pursuit of progressive ideals, and an unsuppressible desire to achieve unity, progress, and prosperity for our country, is certainly a daunting and challenging assignment. Because this meeting is about Chief Iwanyao, the topic of today's lecture must have been seen to have been most appropriately chosen by the organizing committee. the topic, which is Igbo quest for Nigeria's unity, summarizes what Chief Wanyanwu has fought for during a greater part of his lifespan. Chief Wanyanwu was born in 1942, at a time Nigeria was under colonial rule. Growing up at this time, therefore, he was a victim of imperialism, a forced and imposed government which ruled Nigeria at the pleasure of the British Empire, rather than for the interests of the African area they carved out as Nigeria. At that time, Nigeria was recovering as a victim of the worst human rights violation, namely slave trade. Africa was invaded by Europe and America in search of raw materials and able-bodied human beings that could be sold into slavery to catalyze industrial production in Europe and America. As Iwanyanwu grew up, nationalist movements led by Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe of Nigeria and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, then Gold Coast, were also growing up in Africa. Iwanyawu's primary and secondary education in the urban cities of Port Harcourt and Onitsha brought him face to face with colonial leaders' draconian policies of exploitation and deprivation of fundamental human rights of our people. These experiences prepared him for principled leadership. Iwanyanwu finally became an accomplished engineer, businessman, politician, running for president of Nigeria at a time. In every stage of Iwanyanwu's life, he was confronted with the discriminatory treatment of Igbos in the Nigerian political sphere. He deployed everything he had to fight this discrimination. He formed and joined political parties. He founded a newspaper, Champion Newspapers. He ran for president. He masterminded measures of political parties and was schemed out of the race for the new party's flag bearer. He bore it with resilience. He formed a football club, and he did this, as he told me, to familiarize Nigerians with the pronunciation of his tongue-twisting surname, Iwanyanwu. And he succeeded in doing that. He set up a civil and building engineering company to challenge European and Middle East domination of the industry and to showcase Igbo industry. Today, he has retired from partisan politics. But the Igbo quest for equal treatment in Nigerian polity continues to preoccupy his attention. As chairman of the Ohanese Council of Elders, even in his retirement, he has continued to promote dialogues and diplomatic maneuvers aimed at achieving greater unity in Nigeria and greater appreciation of Igbos in the Nigerian polity. The Igbos, who constitute about 1/4 of the population of Nigeria, are an urbane, cosmopolitan, itinerant, and industrious people. Mostly Christians, Igbos are widely traveled. There are hardly any non-Igbo community in Nigeria where Igbos are not the highest non-indigenous population resident there. They are heavily dominant in the medium industrial production and distribution sectors of the Nigerian economy. They are heavily invested in manufacturing, the entertainment industry, the aviation industry, banking, insurance, the motor transport industry, in retail trading, in downstream mechanic trade and manufactured goods retailing. Notwithstanding all this, it is only once in the nearly 62 years of Nigeria's post-independence existence that Igbos have been at the apex of executive authority in this country. This was for about 6.5 months during the tenure of General Aguiyi Ironsi, may his soul rest in peace, as the head of the military administration of Nigeria in 1966. Igbos have earned tremendous laurels for Nigeria in various fields of endeavor. Richard Ihetu of Amigbo, Olu in this state, popularly known as Dick Tiger, was described by Adeyinka Makinde in his book, Dick Tiger, The Life and Times of a Boxing Immortal, as perhaps the greatest fighter to come out of the African continent, emerging from an environment devoid of substantive traditions in boxing. He would overcome a litany of obstacles before becoming a two-time undisputed world middleweight titleist and undisputed light heavyweight champion. In football, the history of Nigerian football cannot be complete without the mention of Onyaona, Christian Chukwu, Austin Jejo Okocha, Maduko Okoye, Michael Obi, Kelechi Iheanacho, Kanu Nwankwo, Wilfred Ndidi, Alexi Wobiu, Onyaona, and Siri Nwankwo. These Igbo names, as well as other outstanding Nigerian footballers, brought fame to this country. In athletics, Chioma Ajunwa and Mary Onyali come readily to mind as Igbo women who have done us proud in world athletic contributions. In literary prowess, Chino Achebe, Cyprian Ikwensi, Flora Nwapa, Buchie Mechata, Chimamanda Adichie have been globally separated as their works adorn all major libraries of literature in the world. In Nollywood, the list of Igbo stars is endless, but Clay Mohameze, John Okafor, Nkemo, Peter Doche, Chinedu Ikedieze, Chidi Mokeme, Kenneth Okonkwo, Okechukwu Keje, Osita Eheme, Bori Uboma, Mike Ezeronye, Zach Oji, Emeka Ike, Kanayo, Yule Doche, Monso Diobi, Jean Ike, and Mrs. Pensions Ozoroko cannot escape public attention. In the international diplomatic engagements, the likes of Emeka Anyonku, Dr. Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala, the late Honorable Jaja Nwachukwu, Dr. Mrs. Obiageli Ezekwesi, Ms. Aruma Ote, former Vice President of the World Bank, have all done us proud. 61% of Nigerians, 61% of Nigerian Americans over the age of 25 hold a graduate degree, compared to 32% of US-born population. Majority of these Nigerians are Igbos. Nigerian immigrants are one of the most successful ethnic groups in the United States. Among them are the following notable Igbos. Philip Emeagwali, Nigerian computer scientist, the 1989 Gordon Bell Prize winner for high-performing computer application. He produced the fastest computer in the whole world. 2, Bart Nnaji, professor of robotic engineering, who won the Secretary of State Prize in the United States a few years ago, and who was our chairman's Minister of Power. And you know what robotic engineering that Bart Nnaji and Professor Rumbold specialized in. If you have an accident on the way and you need an urgent surgery and you can't get to the hospital if you haven't had the surgery in time and you will die, Professor Bart Nnaji and Professor Rumbold designed a computer-enabled theater in an ambulance whereby remote control they can operate on you from the hospital without being in the ambulance. We have from these states a Chinedu Echeru, who is a tech entrepreneur and founder of Hotspots. We have Kalechi Anyedewu of e-commerce fame. We have Chika Ukebu of cryptocurrency strategy for emerging markets. We have Chiama Adichie, a Nigerian-American novelist, Yale graduate, author of New York bestseller, Americana, and listed in 2015 in Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. We have in Nollywood in America, Chiweteli, Ejiofor, and Uzo Aduba. These are distinguished fame that Igbo people have attracted internationally. The list is endless. But the question remains, why do Igbos in Europe and America excel better than in their own country? You know, when I was growing up, I started my elementary education in 1957. I attended the same primary school with the junior brother of my father's driver, Peter Energy. and children of coal miners, retail traders, and low civil servants. My father was then a legislator in Eastern Nigerian House of Assembly and Parliamentary Secretary for Health, a form of Minister of State or Junior Minister. He was later to become Minister of Commerce and Minister of Local Government. There was no special schools for the minister's child and another one for the driver's child. I am sure that many of you here whose children are in primary schools do not have the children of your drivers in the same school. In college, I had two beneficiaries of my father's scholarship in the same class with me. They beat me in science subjects, and I trailed behind them in overall positions in the class. And because of the objective nature of the subjects they beat me in, they occupied the first to 7 position, and I was struggling to come between 7 and 12. My father told me in Igbo, Nandin nafana azamsa nige meche zabafasa. In other words, for those of our brothers who do not understand Igbo, that those whose fathers courtesied to him by saying yes, sir, that I, because beneficiaries of his scholarship were beating me, that I will courtesy to them. Forgive me if I go out of my text to say that my father's prediction did not come true. Because after he told me this, I decided to be a bookworm. I went to CIC. And it's important to tell you this story because it describes what we are in today. CIC was College of Immaculate Conception, run by Marist brothers. And they taught us everything. They taught us how to be clean, how to dress well, how to talk to your seniors, how to be hygienic. We cut grasses. We watered our flower beds. We swept our dormitories. My first public function in class 1 in College of Immaculate Conception, at the time my father was minister, was to scrub the urinary. The urinary was full of smell with spirogyra and all kinds of fungus because of lack of adequate cleaning. When I got there, my first reaction was that tears came down my eyes. The stench was impossible to behold, not to talk about the actual effort of cleaning it. I went and bought a brush with iron and some Dettol, and my friends helped me to boil hot water. And I would brush this thing and clean it so seriously that within 2 weeks, the vice principal, Brother Mark, led an expedition of students into the urinary to show them how I cleaned the place, and I was removed and posted to the flower beds. What did it show? I wasn't brought there to be maltreated because my father was a minister. I was brought there to be humbled. I was brought there, and when I proved myself, I was acknowledged for proving myself. That is the system that we do not have in our country anymore. The generation we grew up guaranteed equal rights to all children. The Igbos took advantage of this. By far, the most successful Igbos in this regard were the present citizens of Imo State. Their Igbo dialect became the official and written Igbo language, in spite of the tongue-twisting rigor of pronouncing in it. For instance, when the Imo people say it is sweet, they say Otogam. But in other parts of Igbo land, they say Osobugum. Now, I want us to ask ourselves, why was this Nigeria in which I grew up more conducive to the great of learning? Why was it a place the Igbos did not complain of domination, of segregation? Why was every Nigerian proud to be a Nigerian and working as hard as he could to improve his area? Why were granite pyramids growing up in northern Nigeria? Why was cotton being exported in northern Nigeria? Why were cattle rearing such a lucrative business that northern Nigerians went all over Nigeria selling their cattle? And they never carried a gun, they carried sticks that they put behind them. And we all received them very gladly wherever they came. Why was cocoa growing in dimension of export in Western Nigeria? Why was rubber being exported from Midwestern Nigeria in commercial quantities? Why was palm oil and palm produce being produced in Eastern Nigeria? Why did Eastern Nigeria find the first oil well in Oloibiri when my father was Minister of Commerce and Industry? And it was a regional investment. Why did we build the second cement factory in Karago? Why were we the fastest growing economy in Africa in just a segment of Nigeria called Eastern Nigeria? It was because of devolution of power, otherwise called restructuring. You know, the situation of our country today is lamentable. It is lamentable because those of us born at a time Nigeria did not have independence and who grew up through that time till now, we have seen that our country was a better place when we were growing up than now. When I chastise my children, they turn back and tell me, Daddy, your generation is responsible for putting us here. I cannot explicate myself as not being a member of the armed forces, which overthrew civilian administration and imposed military rule and imposed the constitution that we operate today. And I salute my children for the audacity of challenging me. But I believe that one way Nigeria can not just pacify the Igbos, but the Christian Northerners who have been subjected to second-class citizens is by returning to our previous status quo, restructuring our country and giving every part of Nigeria the sovereignty over their natural resources and over their development. Do you know that there is a country called Netherlands? And last year, Netherlands had $945 billion in export of agricultural goods. The geographical area of Netherlands is about 3/4 of Niger State, one of the, if you like, 37 administrative components of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if you are at the Federal Capital Territory as one. So a country less in cross-sectional area than Niger State can produce agricultural exports, basically vegetables and fruits, and earn more than we can earn in oil. And why is this possible? Knowledge. And I will soon tell you how knowledge has retarded our growth and targeted the knowledge-based areas, especially Imo State. Now, in Netherlands, how is this done? They build green farms. They farm all year round. And they go into skyscrapers. And they can produce vegetable all year round. Whenever I'm coming to Imo State, I have a basket in my boot because I buy fruits here. I buy bananas. I buy pineapples here. I buy plantains here. I buy vegetables of all sorts. I don't know why you have it more. Maybe that's why your women are more pretty than the rest of the world. Now, after Nigeria owns 4 refineries. 2 of them are in Port Harcourt, One is in Warri, and one is in Kaduna. As I speak to you now, none of them is in production. We export our crude oil to other countries to refine for us. A fifth refinery owned by the Niger Delta Petroleum Resources, a subsidiary of the Niger Delta Exploration and Production, PLC, is also out of production. The two Port Harcourt refineries have a production capacity of 210,000 barrels a day. The Warri refinery has a capacity of 100,000 barrels a day. The Kaduna, 110,000 barrels a day. The NDPR refinery can refine 1,000 liters per day. Dangote's refinery has capacity of 650,000 barrels per day. And the federal government has invested in that refinery. Nigeria right now imports refined products worth $29 billion yearly from Netherlands, Belgium, Benin Republic here, India, and France. Nigeria has invested $2.7 million in Dangote refinery. And the total cost of that refinery is going to come to $19 billion. Well, as I had talked about Igbos and their success, and I talked about the people of Imo State as epitomizing that success, that epitomization reflected in their education. The most educated Igbos and the most literate Igbos are Imo people. But after the Civil War, governments in the East were forced to introduce state takeover of schools aimed at punishing voluntary agencies like the Catholic Church and the Protestant Anglican Church who aided the Biafran war effort and with relief materials. I do not know, some of you who were not born here during the war, you must know that we didn't just suffer from the fact that many died here, more than 6 million. But we suffered from the fact that we have also lost our brethren. During the war, I was a soldier in the Biafran. I worked in the Biafran Organization of Freedom Fighters. And I was once, while on vacation, sent to work in Udi Airport. And I experienced it with dismay and utter bewilderment how motherless babies whose parents died in the process of the war were brought to Uli Airport. Uli Airport was the only communication with the outside world in this part of the country. And we had C-130 aircrafts, which are college aircrafts that carry heavy machinery and troops. And General Ikewachukwu knows them well. And he knows that there are belts there that you not only tie, but you hold on to in order to ensure that when it flies, you can maintain some stability. So you can imagine less than 1-year-old children packed into C-130. We had to get every woman who had a loincloth, a wrapper, and you know our people tie 2 of them rather than 1. They tie 1 and they tie it with a cord so you don't see the cord. And I saw it with my mother, so women, please don't think that I'm exposing it. And then the other. The one on top, we dispossessed them of it, forcibly. And we used them to tie these children together so they could stand the turbulence of the aircraft. The Holy Ghost fathers helped us to find places for them around the shores of Africa and West Africa principally. Now, we didn't document them. We have lost Igbos in the diaspora. A few years ago, as I was reading about the elections in Gabon, a place that a number of our Igbo children were taken to, I came across a report which claimed that President Bongo of Gabon was Igbo, and that after the election, his opponent went to court to say that because he was Igbo, he was not fit to be president of Gabon. But his opponent was not seized of the fact that if you acquire naturalization, as he did from his father, President Bongo, when he was brought as a Biafran refugee child, that he had acquired all rights and privileges of citizens. Even with a stroke, he was still allowed to continue to be president of his country. He may have come from Ukehe, where I come from. But I have no way of knowing whether he's my brother. And so he's permanently lost. So have several of our people lost. And so when you see Chief Iwanya fighting for the Igbos, himself a Biafran commander who operated in the last war to save this city from the federal troops, you can see what burns in his heart. He gave up his all, his youth, abandoned his wife at the very early months of their engagement, and surrendered himself into fighting. The wonder is where this man still gets the will and the strength to continue fighting today. Please put your hands together. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We are not just clapping for you, sir, but we are telling you that you are a model for us. What you've been through and survived, what you're still going through, what you have established, coming from your humble beginnings of the son of a teacher, it makes us think that we too can do better, can't we? After the Civil War, governments in the East were forced to introduce state takeover of schools aimed at punishing voluntary agencies who aided the Biafran war effort with relief materials. The standards began to plummet, and many turned attention to trade. Increasingly, wealth came by all sorts of trading. Gradually, we began to see that wealth without knowledge was like money misroads. As we battled to school, they introduced cutoff points for different states at federal secondary school level and quota for disadvantaged states in university level. Consequently, whilst Igbo states and mixed Igbo states had the following cutoff points for entrance examination to federal schools: Abia 130, Anambra 139, Ebonyi 112, Enugu 134, Imo 138, Delta 131, Rivers 118, Akwa Ibom 123, Cross River 97, Benue 111, Bayelsa 72. Other non-Igbo states or non-Igbo affiliated states in northern Nigeria had the following cutoff points: Sokoto 9 for male students. Please do not laugh. 13 for female students. Taraba 3 for male students. 11 for female students. Zamfara 4 for male students. 2 for female students. Borno 45. Bauchi 35. Jigawa 44. The net effect of this policy was a degrading of the standards of our federal secondary schools. Paradoxically, graduates from these states with low result averages were also given priority in university admissions because of quota and federal civil service employments. Whereas I support a form of affirmative action to give the low advantaged states incentive for higher education. It must not be at the expense of national standards. Special schools should be provided in those states with retarded educational standards. This is the American approach. and it has yielded tremendous dividends for low-income classes and colored Americans. Even in the federal civil service and armed forces and police employment, this retrogressive policy is still entrenched. Consequently, national standards plummet, while the retarded states flee abroad for more competitive and rewarding standards. Those Igbos who cannot find admission in federal colleges or pay for expensive private schools take to trading, and by the time they make a headway, find themselves unprepared for the high computer exposure and intricate financial credit exploitation that modern business demands. Given the low number of states in Igbo land, federally collected revenue, a lot of which is derivable from oil, gas, minerals, and federally taxable revenue in the Southeast, is allocated more to the infrastructural development of states outside Igbo land. Oil and gas, which are sourced from the Southeast and South-South, are passed from Port Harcourt and Imo State across Igbo land to refineries up north and beyond Nigeria. Similarly, federal highways in Igbo land get very paltry allocation on annual budgets. Consequently, Enugu-Port Harcourt Road, since the end of the Civil War, is still under construction. So is Owerri-Onitsha Road, the Onitsha-Enugu Road, the Enugu-Bakori Road, the Abakaliki-Okigwe Road, not to talk about the Nsukka-Onitsha Road. Under the circumstances, no new roads are contemplated. New industries are stalled because of weak supply of distribution networks. The Niger Bridge, which our chairman, His Excellency President Jonathan, designed to have a railway track, is being completed without one. In this kind of depressing and challenging circumstance, refineries are built outside Nigeria without any of the ones in adjoining states of rivers or delta being rehabilitated. For this reason, our youths are angry, justifiably so, and pass a vote of no confidence on us, their fathers. Day after day, the likes of Iwanya will negotiate with them, pacify them, and plead for their patience for Nigeria to be restructured or an Igbo president to emerge so that our problems can have a listening ear. The children, in return, compare their impatience to the beautiful theory of Hooke's in physics, which he describes as the concept of elastic limits. Faced with this dilemma, we are labeled as secessionists who do not qualify to preside over the affairs of a country they no longer want to be part of. But up there, between Kaduna and Abuja, some other Nigerians can bomb Nigerian trains and none is arrested or prosecuted. Their captives are rescued and payment of huge ransoms made, and they are escorted home under watchful eyes, or should I say, the unwatchful eyes of our security forces. Our medium security prison is attacked right in our country's capital, and insurgents in that prison selectively freed. Our policemen deployed to fight crime collude with drug peddlers and money swindlers, and when identified by the watchful eye of American intelligence and our drug law enforcement agency, the law courts prevent their being sent to the United States to face inquisition. When you are a freedom fighter, you are labeled a criminal. When you are a terrorist, you are shielded from prosecution. When you want to be president of your country, you are labeled the father and encourager of a secessionist. But the father and patron of the arsonists, kidnappers, struggle through the political landscape of our country as if it was his conquered territory. As Igbo fathers like Iwanya and some of us who think that a united and just Nigeria will serve all of us well, are denied access to political power. Even now, a new phenomenon of reversing certificates of occupancy of some Igbos in some parts of Nigeria is rearing its ugly head. Haven't you read about it? Igbos watched with grief and desolation as Igbo candidates in PDP and APC were disgraced out of their presidential conventions. The point must be made loud and clear that no attempt should be made to force Igbos out of political reckoning in Nigeria. We are as qualified as any other Nigerian to be president of Nigeria. We have shown by our relationship with other Nigerians, our feel-at-home attitude in any part of Nigeria, and our warm welcome to other Nigerians in Igbo land, that would mean no harm to our fellow countrymen and women. When I was a student in the University of Ibadan, 3 years after the Civil War, I made bold to run for election as president of Students' Union. I was running against a Yoruba man called Ulu Adeboro. And you will not believe this. Nigeria was such a united and good country that notwithstanding our label as rebels, I beat Ulu Adeboro. But it was not without some of the things that I have narrated here. First of all, we had a speech night before the election. I'm sure that my roommate, Michael Kiro, is here and can bear me out as I tell this story. Now, according to the regulations, the student affairs officer was the returning officer, and he would call the candidates in order of the return of their nomination forms. And you start by whatever may be the lowest position of assistant secretary, climbing up to the position of president of the Students' Union. He maintained that order until he came to the position of president of Students' Union. And I returned my nomination form before Adeboro, so my name was number 1. But when he came to president, he changed the order. He called Adeboro. And Adeboro came and spoke, and the regulations said you must not speak in vernacular or raise divisive language in your speech. Adeboro, at the end of his speech, went into a Yoruba song and said, Tiwan, Tiwa, oh, that's our own is our own. And then they started to sing for him. Jeka ole, Jeka ole, Adeboro, Oti wole. I then was in confusion. I didn't know what to do. But because I had a Nigerian organizing committee full of Yorubas, one of them, Kunde Tuyo, whose father owned a very big bakery in Lagos, he walked up to Mr. Returning officer and said, sir, look at your rules, and they are being broken in front of you. Chief Modo was supposed to speak, but you didn't let him speak. He then reluctantly got up and pacified the students to give me a chance. Now, the emotions were pent up. It was no longer possible to make a long speech because you probably lose the attention of the audience. I practiced plagiarism. My brother, my late brother, Joseph, had done a PhD in LSE, where he also encouraged me to read law. And he wrote on the role of the United Nations, OAU, and international organizations in the achievement of world peace. But when he was describing the Congo crisis, he said that the Congo, in view of its central position in Africa, was like a continental political volcano. Accordingly, when it erupted, seismic waves rippled across the continent, and the OAU was divided into the Monrovia and the Casablanca blocks. So I decided to steal it. I said to them, the University of Ibadan, in view of its premier position in the development of higher education in Nigeria, was like a national educational volcano. Accordingly, when Ibadan sneezes, the rest of the universities in Nigeria catch cold. And it was one sentence, but it caught their attention, it caught their enthusiasm, it massaged their ego as students of the University of Ibadan. The whole place went in round. I didn't need to speak again. A girl from Delta, I kept looking for her after graduation, but I never saw her. She came up, embraced me, and both of us fell on the ground. Honest, almost plastering my face with kisses and crying. That was patriotism. They took me around the hostels, but it didn't end. Because the female students preferred me to my opponent. This Mr. Babalala undersupplied votes to the female hostel. Because the postgraduate students were more matured and they preferred me to my opponents, he undersupplied votes to them. Because the medical students in Alexander Brown Hall were more matured and they needed a matured person, he undersupplied votes to them. In fact, the president of the Alexander Brown Hall had written a petition waiting for the result to be announced. In spite of this rigging method, I won by 92 votes. The reason I tell this story is that you may be there and saying, they've messed our country, there's no point fighting. Nigeria needs all of us now. President Jonathan already told us now. He quoted our founding fathers and ended up with us and said, don't lie on your backside. Get up and redefine our country. And I say to you, Igbos, stop brooding over what has happened to us in the past. We can still make a country that will be the pride of Nigeria. History and opportunity beckons on Nigeria to reciprocate the Igbo attitude of love and unity. Our industry and our preparedness to serve and to be subjugated for such a long time. I sincerely hope that Chief Iwayan's birthday will offer us an opportunity for this rethink and give birth to a more united and progressive Nigeria. I thank you for your kind attention.
When I remember the goodness of God and promises upon my soul, His loving kindness upon my family, I feel like shouting, I was in the radio, I was in.
That was a wonderful speech from the man who is being looked up as the one who will give all that is required for the celebrant today. And for all he has said here, it all boils down to unity of this great nation. A very phenomenal speech, a wonderful speech that penetrated every fabric of the country, be it politics, be it culture, be it education, in every sphere of life. He's been able to touch one after the other. And as you can see, another person has taken over the rostrum. Any moment from now, we'll be able to have the next speaker who is going to be mounting that rostrum. Well, all smiles on the face of the chairman of the occasion, talking about the former president, Dr. Ebele Jonathan, and of course the governor of Imo State. They're all filled with smiles. And for the celebrant himself, he's been able to show a big smile shortly after that wonderful lecture. I want to say that these are the kind of people who will indeed speak for people to listen, because they go back into memory lane and they bring back so many things that needed to be known. Most people here, as you can see, are youth, people who didn't know most of the things being talked about here, and they may have now gotten something. And so, well, he rounded up to say that all this has been said here today so that unity will be the focus of the future for Nigerians. And as the 2023 election draws near, it is indeed an elixir. This speech indeed is an elixir for people to hold on to so that they can move into a new beginning. Stay tuned, there's more coming. We'll go into the arena now for more, and maybe the governor will mount the rostrum any moment from now. and then we'll know the next thing to tell you. Stay with us. Don't go away.
We brought attention to the guest speaker for this great event. And I want to plead with us, because I did announce that we are covering this event live, and you know that it is timed. It will not be fair to assemble this galaxy of personalities from across the world, because our leader, our statesman is 80 years, and now we will not hear the voice, the message of our chief host. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, join me to welcome His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma, Governor Imo State.
Thank you. Please sit down. Thank you. Thank you. The chairman of the occasion, Your Excellency, the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR and GCON, members of the National Assembly, both serving and non-serving, members of Imo State House of Assembly, led by the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Amara Iwayawu, members of Imo State and other neighboring states, expanded executive councils, the chief celebrant of today's occasion, Chief Engineer Isi Iwayawu and his amiable wife, the President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo worldwide, Ambassador Professor George Obiozo, ably represented by the Secretary General of Ohaneze Ndigbo, Ambassador K. Emuche, the former President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Distinguished Senator Adolphus Nwabara, the guest speaker of today's event, and the immediate past President of Ohaneze Ndigbo worldwide, the erudite scholar, Chief Nnaemwodo, the National Secretary of PDP, Senator Sam Dadi Anyanwu, the former Governor of Imo State, Pogo, leader of Middle Belt, leader of Afenifere, ably represented by Chief Shola Ediseni, the Secretary General of Afenifere, Professor Ango Abdullahi, leader of Northern Elders Forum, ably represented by Reverend Bitrus Dangewa, Chief Edwin K. Clark, leader of PANDEF, ably represented of PANDEF, Chief Gary Ohaneze Ndigbo worldwide, the heads of security agencies and heads of paramilitary agencies in Imo State, the Chairman, Imo State Council of Traditional Rulers, His Royal Highness Eze Dr. Isi Okeke, the Chairman, Imo State Elders Council, His Royal Majesty Eze C.I. Ilomaya, Your Royal Highnesses, Ndeze, members of Imo State Elders Council, the chairman and members of Imo State Chapter of Correspondence Chapel, distinguished invited guests, great Nigerian leaders, the chairman of Christian Association of Nigeria Imo State Chapter and his members, my Lord Bishops, members of the clergy and the religious, captains of industries, ladies and gentlemen, it is very difficult to speak after an erudite scholar like Chief Naiwood has spoken. But the difference between the former President General of Ohaneze Ndi Igbo, Chief Naiwood, is that he drew inferences from events that happened before 1970. I'm going to combine all the combinables. I will draw inferences from the past. I will draw inferences from the future and the present. And I will recommend the way out of the quagmire. Let me most heartily welcome all the guests to this remarkable birthday anniversary of our great son and leader, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iwayan Aheja Gamba Ndibo. We are here to celebrate our leader, our mentor, and the proud son of Igbo land. Indeed, we've come to celebrate someone truly deserving of being celebrated and to honor someone worthy of honor. Getting to the ripe age of 80 years, or otherwise what we can call eighth floor, as we call it, is a blessing. But staying strong, lucid, and articulate at the age of 80 is a special grace that only comes from God. I'm not surprised that Chief Iwayan has been so blessed and gifted by the Almighty God, because most of his life has been dedicated to the service of God and humanity. Aheja Gamba, I appreciate and congratulate you for being a role model in humanity, philanthropy, and humanity. Judging from the celebrant's vast network of friends, partners, and associates gained over decades of involvement in business and politics, I'm not surprised by the array of personalities who have come from across the length and breadth of the country to honor this jewel of Igbo land and pride of Nigeria. I've seen some dignitaries from different ethnic nationality organizations, such as Afenifre, Arewa, Pandef, Middle Belt Forum, and of course, Ohaneze Ndi Igbo. Indeed, it will not be totally out of place to describe this auspicious gathering as a mini national conference. First, we've all come from far and near to celebrate a great Nigerian patriot and an uncommon nationalist, a truly detribalized Nigerian who is ever ready to give everything it will take to promote national unity. We are talking of a man who has spent over 50 years of his life preaching good neighborhood, preaching love and understanding among the different ethnic groups that make up Nigeria. So when we come to celebrate him and also use the auspicious event to discuss the lingering topic of Nigerian unity, particularly as it affects Igbos, I believe it can pass for a mini national conference. And this is more so because the discourse on Igbos and the national unity has been recurring from pre-independence days to the present day. It is also a subject that continues to generate intense national interest, controversy, and sometimes misinterpretations. It is not an open secret that in some quarters, Igbos are still held suspect of harboring a hidden agenda. The unfortunate events of the 60s have not helped matters in this respect. In my view, therefore, the topic of today's lecture is both apt and cogent. Given the pedigree of the lecturer, no other but our erudite chief, Nnawodo, I have no doubt that he has done justice to the topic. In the end, I'm sure he has thrown up also more and better insights into the matter. More importantly, I believe that the lecture has further enlightened our brethren from other parts of the country on the Igbo question. We shall use all available media to ensure that this message reaches a wider audience, including our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. In this respect, in making this keynote address, and without prejudice to the lecture, I will begin by recalling that
we must start to follow. We must start to follow. Onye akile na noche, lawyer ya say don't worry. Don't worry. Onye akile na noche, beti ya kasi don't worry. Don't worry. Aha.
Oh, well, thank God we have a restored power right now at the venue here at Concord Hotel in Owerri, where the series of lectures, today inclusive, in honor of one of their sons, I'm talking about Chief Dr. Engineer Emmanuel Uwayamu, who is being honored here today by the Imo State government, because dignitaries of Imo State government and the governor are all seated here, including the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan, and of course several other people from far and near seated here to honor Chief Iwayamu. Well, a few minutes ago we had some disruption. That was a power outage, and right now power has been restored, and the governor who was speaking before that incident happened will any moment from now move to the rostrum where he will conclude his speech. We ask that you stay by your TV and enjoy the remaining part of this particular event. Stay with us. Don't go away.
God Almighty knows why it happened. Let me, at this point in time, properly welcome my boss again, the governor of Imo State, the hope of our generation.
No, you want that soul English. I'm always super English. No, you want that soul English. I'm always super English. I got my journey, Motaku for the school. I'm going to school today. I am going to school today. Aha. I am going to school today. Yes, I am going to school today. I must go to school today.
Please sit down, sit down. Thank you so much. While